Today's Mishnah learning is sponsored by Joe Grab for a refuah shlema for Regrab, Rivka Chana Bat Zipporah. She should have a refuah shlema. To dedicate a day of learning, go to mishnah.co/support or send me an email.
Okay, we're on Eruvin, Perek Mishnah Vav. Our Mishnah is not connected to Eruvin Tchumim. For some reason, the Gati says we don't really know why it's stuck in here. Totally different halacha. There's a halacha called Ir Shel Yachid and an Ir Shel Rabbi. If I have a city that belongs to a private person, you can have that. I have a plot of land, I build houses, and I sell, I rent the land. That's an Ir Shel Yachid. On the other hand, most cities are Ir Shel Rabbi. Now, there's a halacha that says, I'm going to read the Bartenura first so to understand what's going on here. Asur la'arev Ir Shel Rabim. You can't make what's called a shituf mavaot in an Ir Shel Rabim. Im ein mishayer ba batim yiduim below eruv. You have to leave part of the city without the eruv. Meaning, you can't make the whole city one big eruv. Why? The ahu shiur have a heker, because that shiur, that leaving over, that leaving empty, is a heker, is a recognizable the ta'amah mishum eruv. Because people have to know the reason you're allowed to carry in the city is because there's an eruv. Otherwise, you're going to forget that you can't carry Mishut Rabim. They're going to go somewhere else. They're going to say, of course you can carry. We all carry. So therefore, there has to be an Ir Shel Rabim, in a city that belongs to more than one person, there has to be some area, we're going to see how big the area is, that isn't counted in the Eruv. Those guys can make their own Eruv, but they can't carry in the other part of the city. So there has to be some area. On the other end, an Ir Shel Yachid, no matter how big it is, if it's all one big private city belonging to one person, you don't have to have any shiur. So now our Mishnah is going to talk about, with that introduction, our Mishnah is going to talk about, of course, the unusual cases. What happens if it was one and became the other? Says the Mishnah, Ir Shel Yachid. Let's say it was a private city, belonged to one person. V'nasei shel rabim, and they sold out. They went condo. Okay? Then, me'arvin et kula. You can still make the eruv in the whole thing, because originally it was an Ir Shel Yachid, and so therefore, you don't have to leave over. You don't have to have an area that has shiur. But the Shel Rabim, if it was a Shel Rabim, remember they had to have shiur. V'nasei shel yachid, and one millionaire, multi-gazillionaire came and he bought out the whole city. Now it's a private city and he's just renting. Ein ma'arvin et kula. You can't make an eruv et kula for the whole thing. Why? Because it was Shel Rabim. Unless ela imkein asa chutza la ki ir chadasha shel Yehuda. Unless there's an area outside of it, i.e. adjacent to it, that's like the Ir Chadasha in Yehuda. That's like a city called Chadasha in Yehuda. Sheyesh ba 50 diurim divei Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yehuda said, the Ir Chadasha Rabbi Yehuda said it has to be, the amount of shiur has to be enough for 50 diurim. Let's look at the Bartenura for a second, what's going on. Okay? Ir Chadasha, based on the Gemara he says this, Ir Haita Yehuda, there was a city in Yehuda, Ushma Chadasha. They called it Chadasha. V'lo hayu ba ela 50 diurim. It had 50 residents. That was the smallest city in Yehuda. There was a city adjacent to Chadasha. I have no idea where it was. Okay? And that city was Chadasha was the shiur for the adjacent city. Meaning there were two, I guess, villages next to each other. And the village next to it said, no, we can do an area for the whole village because Chadasha is next to us. And that's enough for the shiur. So it says Rabbi Yehuda, since Chadasha was the shiur for its adjacent city, that's the minimum size of the shiur. Rabbi Shimon says, no. You don't need 50 diurim. Either shalosh chatzerosh shnei batim. Remember, each courtyard has a minimum of 2 houses. So as long as you have 3 chatzerot of 2 batim of shiur, that's as much as you need, and nothing bigger than that. The Gemara says, I think, the halacha is, even if you only have one, Rambam says, 1 chatzer, 1 house, that's a shiur, any amount, as long as there's one a little shiur of any amount, that's enough, and that you can have an Ir Shel Rabim, that you can do an eruv for the entire rest of the city. We'll stop here. As always, we'll dedicate our learning to the memory of my father, Rav Simcha Yitzchak Kalman. And you can email me if you have questions. Have a good day.